Happy Sunday morning, yogis. Thanks for joining me once again at the All That Matters Studios in Wakefield. I'm Tara. So this morning, I thought that we would get into wringing out the body a little bit and do some twists. So the props that I have with me are one block that I'm sitting on. So if you can find anything in your house that approximates a block, and this is basically going to be used for the most part when bending over to bring the floor up to you. And then the other thing that I have, we have these cool little paddles in the studio that are garden kneelers to protect knees when down on the hard floor. So anything that will work for you for that if you want some protection. A blanket or your mat doubled over, or even a beach towel, something like that. And if you don't need it, if you don't feel like your knees are super sensitive, don't worry about it. So let's begin by coming into a comfortable seat. I'm kneeling and sitting on my block. As I mentioned earlier, you might decide to crisscross your shins in front of you or have one leg out to the side. Whatever works for your knees and hips is going to be fine. So long as you're feeling like you're really rooted and grounded into what you're sitting into, with a little bit of a tip of your pelvic bowl so that your knees drop down lower than your hips. And once you've created that comfortable seat for yourself in the lower half of your body, let your shoulders wiggle around a little bit, your ear drop to one shoulder and then the other, and then as though there's a silk cord drawing you gently upward and lengthening you towards your ceiling. Let your spine get tall and long. Let your eyes blink closed or soft gaze down the bridge of your nose and drop into your breath. Feel yourself arriving here in this moment. Allow the sound of your natural rhythm of breathing to wash over you. If you're working with any congestion, just do the best you can. If you're able to find a smooth and steady breath in and out through your nose, drop into that. Let your belly get expansive, your rib cage open wide, your chest become buoyant. As you exhale, soften into the spaces that you're making. Another deep breath in, fill all the way up, and empty out. Throughout the practice, keep checking in on your breath. Notice how you're feeling, how your breath is supporting you, or if you're getting information because the breath is ragged, that maybe you should back off or slow down. Please always do that. Please sip your water, take breaks, jump back in and join us whenever you're ready. Know that you never need to do any more than feels like the appropriate edge for you this morning. Just another moment here, checking in and tuning in. Let your arms fall down by your sides. With an inhalation, sweep your arms big and wide in a circle up and overhead. Let your gaze lift up towards your extended fingers. Exhale, bring your hands down in front of your heart. Let your chin drop to your chest as you circle inward. Inhale, scoop up and around. Look upwards. Extend and reach. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Inhale, fan your arms out wide. Circle around. Exhale, bring your hands together in front of your heart. Let your right fingertips reach down and out to the ground. Let yourself lean over and sweep your arm up and overhead towards the right side of the room. Take a deep breath in and see if you can feel the space being made between each of your ribs on your left-hand side there. Look down towards your right hand and then up and under your left arm. Allow your elbow to bend and bring your hand to the back of your head, sit-up style. Let your gaze be forward towards your screen or the wall in front of you. Breathe in and let your elbow fall back behind you. As you exhale, curl and round. Let your elbow drop towards the floor. Your gaze look down. Inhale, open it up. Exhale, drop it down. Inhale, open it up. Keep your right arm reaching towards the floor and lifting yourself up and away from the floor, even though you are leaning to the right. Continue to have some space there. One more time, up. And exhale, curl it down. Inhale, Inhale, reach both arms up and overhead. And as you breathe out, let your left hand come down to the ground, reach your right arm up and over. Take a moment there to breathe into the stretch. Again, rooting into the floor with your hand, but lifting up and away, and making space all along your right side. Then let your right elbow bend, rest your head back into the palm of your hand. Use your inhale to open up a little bit more, turn towards your ceiling, and exhale, curl yourself towards your floor. Go for 3 more of these at the pace that makes sense for your breath and your body. See if you can let the movement take as long as your inhale and the journey downward as long as your exhale. The next time that you look up, re-extend your arm and come back through center. Reach, let your shoulders come along for the ride, right up by your ears, and float them back down by your sides. Shift yourself forward onto your hands and knees. You can go ahead and scoot whatever it was that you might have been sitting on out of your way. Come on into tabletop. So your wrists are underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. And that's just a sort of a general placement. A little more, a little less, depending on anything that's going on in your body. Breathe in, let your belly soften towards the earth, your gaze and your heart forward towards the front of the room and your tail to the sky. Exhale, press the floor away from you, round through your upper back, drop your chin in towards your chest. And move back and forth here. This is called cat and cow. I've opted to tuck my toes under this morning, but you can certainly be on the tops of your feet. And take one more round here. Now I'm going to be turning around periodically through class so that I can continue to face you and instruct you and give you the best visual of what I'm doing with my body, but you can stay whatever direction you're facing and don't mind me as I'm moving around. So from the tabletop shape, now extend your right leg out and back behind you. Use your left hand to find the front of your ribs, and you're just going to give a little sort of lift up and away to keep your back body long and keep your lower back from sagging. Bend your knee, foot faces the ceiling, a little pulse up, draw it in underneath you and take it out to the side. Look over to your right, inhale, extend your leg out long. Exhale, sweep a long leg back behind you. Drop your toes down to the ground over your left shoulder. Rock it back and forth a couple of times there. And then look back over to the right, a side kick out to the right. Rebend and drop it behind you to the left. And one more time. Look over to the right, kick it out to the right, and take it back behind you. Look over to your right, inhale, side kick. Exhale, this time let your foot float down to the ground. You can have your toes pointed forward or angle them out at any degree that works for your body. You can also step it a little further forward, a little further back, just basically out to your right hand side. Right hand stays right underneath your right shoulder. Left arm sweeps out to the side and upwards towards the ceiling. Exhale, without landing just yet, thread it under and through and reach over to that right side of the room. Inhale and take it back up. Exhale, under and through. Inhale, sweep it up. And exhale, under. This time, go ahead and let your shoulder touch down, your left cheek touch down, and walk your left fingers as far as they'll go towards the right. Send your, left fingers reach to the right, right fingers reach forward to the front of your room. Find a couple of breaths here, staying long through your spine. Let your right hand walk back in underneath your shoulder. Press your palm into the floor to lift yourself up and sweep your left arm up to the sky. Roll your wrist a couple times while you're here. And turn it the other way. Let both hands come on back down to the ground. Keep your legs just as they are and pick yourself up to a half kneeling stand. Right hand down your leg. Inhale. Sweep your left arm up and overhead. Let your hands slide right down your calf. And exhale, windmill it right over. Left hand comes down to the ground. Right arm up to the sky. Right foot floats up. At any point in time, you can tap your toe down. If you don't like where your knee has landed, you can feel free to shift it. The more you swing your shin out behind you and keep it there, the more balance it'll provide for you. And then this is sort of like play around time. It doesn't have to be perfect. Let your right arm come up and overhead. Take a breath in and extend long. As you breathe out, sweep forward. See if you can do it in one line. Fingers towards toes. They don't have to touch. They don't even have to be in the same zip code. Inhale, lengthen it back out. And then same deal back behind. Reach back. Fingers just kind of wave at your toes. Sweep it out long. And take it in front of you. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. One more time. Breathe it in. And take it back. Lengthen it out long. Let your foot come back down to the ground. Walk your hands through center. Right over to that right hand leg. And let's sweep up one more time. Inhale. Exhale. Hands to your heart. Hands back to the floor. Step your right knee in underneath you. Return yourself to the tabletop shape. And let's take one cow and one cat. Inhale, soft belly, heart forward. Exhale, press the floor away and round. Breathe in and lengthen your left leg back long behind you. Use your right hand to firm your ribs up and away from the floor and keep your spine long and core muscles engaged. Bend your knees so your foot is facing the ceiling. One little pulse up. Inhale. Exhale, draw it under your belly and take it out to the left. Look over your left shoulder and kick it out to the side. Sweep it back behind you and touch your toes to the floor over on the right. Look right over your right shoulder and rock it back and forth a couple of times. With an inhale, take it out to the left. Extend it long and send it back behind you. Cross it over and rock. Inhale, take it out to the side. Look over to the right and rock it out. And last time, take it out to the right, kick it to the side, and this time let it float right down onto your floor. Walk your hands underneath your shoulders. Right arm sweeps out to the side. Exhale without landing, thread it under and through. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, thread it under and reach. Inhale, fan it to the ceiling. Exhale, under and through. Last time, inhale. And exhale, under and through. Come on down to your shoulder and your cheek and walk your left fingertips forward. Peek right underneath your left arm over to the side of the room. And find your breath. Continue to send your right fingertips as far as they'll go to the sidewall and your left fingertips as far forward as they'll go to the front. And let your left hand walk back underneath your left shoulder. Press the floor away. And sweep your right arm up. Roll your wrist. Change your direction. Both hands down. Walk it in. Come on up to the half kneeling stand. Let your left hand come down your thigh. Right arm reach up to the ceiling. And over like you're an arcing rainbow. Hand slides right down your leg. Breathe in and reach up and windmill right over to the right hand side. Extend your left fingers. Bring your hand underneath your shoulder. Make any adjustments you need to where your knee and your shin are placed. And when you're ready, hover your left leg back behind you and begin to play. Just to see what it's like. Can I trace a line? Does my leg dip down? Does it go up higher? As fingers come towards toes, don't worry how close they get. Just starting to explore this one line. And how do I move on it? How does my body move? Are there parts of this that are easier, parts of it that are hard? What are you noticing about patterns in my own body? I notice every time this leg swings forward, my toes start to sort of dial upward. So just notice what's going on for you and what your movement patterns are. Let's go one more time here. And come back to a long line. Let your left foot touch down to the ground. Sweep your hands around in front of you. Come all the way over to your left leg. And take it up to the ceiling. Inhale, reach. And exhale, let your hands come on down. Both knees underneath you. Inhale, soften your belly toward the shape of the cow. Exhale, press the floor away and around to the shape of the cat. Toes tucked under now. Inhale, soften your belly, look forward, tail skyward. Exhale, pick your knees up an inch or two off of the earth. Press evenly into both hands. Find a little grip like you're palming a basketball with your fingertips. And the center of your palm draws up and away from the earth energetically, like you're making space for the basketball to be there. Take another breath. Extend through your heels and reach through your crown. As you exhale, lift from your belly and your hips up and back towards downward facing dog. I've got pretty long hamstrings and calf muscles. My heels touch the ground. Yours may not. They may not be anywhere near the floor, and that's fine. The idea here is just to make length in the backs of your legs, and whatever that feels like or looks like for you is entirely an individual process. Inhale, come up high onto your tippy toes. Lengthen your hips towards the ceiling. As you exhale, try to keep the height of your hips. Let your heels descend back down again. Let's do that 2 more times with breath. Inhale. Exhale down. Breathe in. And out. Let your hands walk back towards your feet now. Your knees can bend as much as you need in order to come to a forward fold at the back end of your mat. Let your body drape forward right over your thighs. And then you can either let your arms just dangle or you can grab your elbows and find a little bit of a sway. Head really loose. Think of your upper body and your head like the clangor in a bell after it's been rung. So it's just the residual bits of movement there that are left. The reverberations, I think that's the word. Step your hands now onto your thighs. Press into your thighs with your palms and lift your spine up halfway so you're lengthening towards the wall that's in front of you. Hinge right here at your hip crease and bow forward again. Knees can continue to be soft and slightly bent. One more time, come up halfway. Press your hands into your thighs. Hinge at your hips and bow forward. This time, with your lengthened spine, come all the way up to stand tall. Heart sort of leading the way as you rise and take your arms up and overhead. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. And then let your arms rest by your sides. And take just a moment here to do a check-in. So it's been a while since you've been standing on your feet. If you've been following along, just notice what it feels like to shift back to standing here. And come on up to the front end of your mat. And if you did find something, a block or something to use for your block, you're going to want to have it at the front end here so it's quick and accessible for a grab should you choose to use it. Breathe in and sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, hinge again right there at the hip crease. And let your sitting bones go back behind you as you bow forward towards the block in front of you. Inhale, lift yourself up halfway. Exhale, fold, and step your right foot back. Let your left knee bend. Bring your right knee down to the ground. This might be the spot where you want your blanket for some padding under your knee. So start to have that nearby and grab it whenever you'd like. Both hands onto your front thigh. Inhale, let your hips sink and your belly and your heart lift up and away from your front leg. You can keep your hands right here, or you can opt to take them out like goalposts to the left and right. So I'm going to turn to face you. Inhale, let your arms draw back, your heart lift up. And exhale, round through your upper back. Let your forearms come towards one another. And start to move back and forth. So if you opted to keep your hands here on your thigh, your work will be to press and lengthen as you inhale. And then exhale, let your elbows bend and allow yourself to drape over your front leg. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, fold. Go for one more breath. I'm going to go back to the other shape. Inhale, heart open, and exhale. A little bit of a rounding. And then for one breath, arms reach up, everybody. Exhale, right hand comes to your left knee, and your left hand comes right behind you to your low back. Take a breath in. Roll your left shoulder back. Let your gaze shift over your shoulder. And see if there's space for your hips to sink any further. Heart continues to lift up and away. Belly lifts up and away. So these are sort of two separate elements going in two different directions. Belly comes up and back. Thigh continues to move forward. One more breath. Gently unwind. Bring your hands to the floor. Tuck your back toes under. Lift your knee up. I'm going to hang on to my block here and start to straighten out your front leg. Any amount towards straight so that you can get into the backs of your legs and take a couple of breaths there. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Notice I'm on the toes of my back foot so your heel doesn't have to drop down. Inhale, lift your heart up. Keep your spine nice and long here. And then bow forward any amount further into the fold that makes sense for you. If you're feeling a little bit wobbly, widen your left foot to the left and your right foot to the right. Be on train tracks rather than a balance beam so this feels sustainable. One more breath. Let your left knee start to bend and step yourself forward towards the front edge of your mat. Uttanasana, the standing forward fold. Inhale, hands to your thighs and lift up halfway. And exhale, bow it forward. Inhale, rise all the way up. Sweep your arms up and overhead. And bring your hands together in front of your heart. So sort of a little interlude before we get to the second side. Sweep your arms up and overhead. Grab your right wrist and arc yourself up and over like you're reaching the left side over a big beach ball here. Anchor down into your right foot as you continue to stretch through your right arm and make a lot of space there for yourself. Take a breath. And rise up through center, extend long to the ceiling. Grab your left wrist and do the same thing over to the right. And come on back through center. Breathe in, release your wrist, hinge forward, fold at your hips towards the floor. Rise up halfway, inhale, and fold forward, exhale. Step your left foot back. Bend your right knee so it's above your right ankle. I'm going to get my kneeler ready for my back knee. Go ahead, set it down on the ground. Walk your hands onto your front thigh and play around. See what it feels like to be in a kneeling lunge on this side. Let your hips drop down. Start to lift your belly up and away from your front thigh. And then make the decision, am I going to keep my hands here and work the inhale and the exhale? Or does goalpost feel like it's a doable thing? So hopefully you figured that out for yourself and begin to move with breath. Inhale and exhale. Couple of rounds, moving at your own pace and just exploring how your body is adapting to opening up. Maybe you just got out of bed. Maybe your coffee is still steaming on the side of your mat. Maybe You're moving in your jammies and you're now either really enjoying the fact that you're practicing in your pajamas or deciding they're not quite conducive to movement. Last time, open up your heart. I'm going to bring my hands back to my thigh for the last one. Last time, a little rounding of the upper back. And then for one inhale, everybody arms up. Exhale, left hand to your right knee and right hand to your low back. Start to open up into the twist. Take your time. Find length in your spine as you breathe in. Let your right shoulder start to move back in space. And take a couple of breaths to glide in. The entire process of making your way into the shape is part of the twist. And there's no it to get, there's no spot you must arrive at, there's no goal that the eyes have to meet in the room. Simply connecting to your breath and observing the sensations that happen in your body and letting all of this be your yoga practice. Begin to unwind slowly. Take the same time to go out of the twist as you took to get into it. Let your hands come down. Again, I've got my block here. Tuck your back toes under. Back knee picks up and start to straighten out your front leg. You can stay on the ball of your back foot. Some folks might be able to get the heel to touch down. Another thing you can play around with is letting your front toes pick up. With a long spine, lift and lengthen away from your front leg. And bow forward any amount to where you start to feel a rich amount of sensation where you want to hang out and breathe. Lift your spine up and look forward. Start to bend your front knee and step your back foot up to join it in a fold at the top end of your mat one more time. Come up halfway, bring your hands onto your thighs, press your hands and lengthen your spine. Bow forward again, exhale. And come all the way up to stand tall, arms up and overhead. Hands to your heart, exhale. Let your arms rest by your sides. And another quick beat with eyes closed or a soft gaze to check in and notice how your body's feeling. Next inhalation takes your arms overhead. Same thing we did before with the wrists. Grab your right wrist. This time we're going to add the foot. So right foot, right wrist. Takes a step behind into the side and arc yourself over. So just extending the line of energy and the stretch that's possible here by adding your leg in. Inhale, come back through center. Grab your left wrist and step your left foot behind and to the side. Give you quite a small step. You can go back further. You can be more to the right. Imagine the left foot is your anchor there. And you're stretching out in the shape of the sliver of a crescent moon. Come back to center again. Reach and let your wrist go. Exhale, bring your hands together in front of your heart. Grab your one block. If you haven't already, scooched your blanket or your kneeling pad out of the way. You can go ahead and get rid of that. Find the top end of your mat. Take the block in your left hand and reach it up to the sky. Your right hand can come right onto your hip. Shift your weight over into your left leg. Pick your right knee up. And step back about a leg's length distance. So that would be your leg's length. And again, if you feel like you're wobbly once you've got here and that your feet are very narrow at the center of your mat, heel toe it out and make some space for yourself. Inhale. Exhale, hinge forward, reach, and like you're trying to hand the block right through the screen, right to me. And take your left arm, or right arm rather, forward as well. Pass the block into your right hand and bring your left hand onto your hip. Continue the journey downward and set your block on the floor, pretty much like underneath your wrist, elbow, and shoulder. Right? So this is from the side here what this looks like. I'm going to spin to face you. so that we can play around a little bit with some shoulder action. Let your left arm dangle loosely between your foot and your block. Let your fingers now drift further to the floor without moving your spine. Just extend your arm like someone's gently drawing your arm out of your socket towards the floor. And then plug it back in and up. And overemphasize a little bit more than what feels natural. Reach your fingers down towards the floor as close as they'll go. And then plug your arm bone in and up. Inhale, extend and reach it. Exhale, plug it in. One more time. Inhale, extend and reach. And exhale, plug it in. And then find your middle ground in between that range there, where it feels like your arm is nice and anchored, but you're not overdoing to one extreme or the other. And try to keep that anchored sensation. Inhale, let your arm float out to the left. It can pause anywhere along the way here on the journey towards the ceiling. And then take it back down towards the floor. And the same as you did earlier, see if you can start to match up how long it takes to journey with your arm as you're breathing in and out. So you're reaching the end of your exhale when your fingers get back towards the floor, and the top of your inhale when your fingers meet the end of their journey upwards towards the ceiling. One more time, take it down to the floor, and then back up towards the ceiling. Come on back down towards the floor. Let your left knee bend and come forward so it's above your ankle again. Come onto the toes of your back foot, the ball of your back foot, so your heel lifts up. Leave your block behind on the floor for now. Hands onto your front thigh. Inhale, sweep your arms upwards towards the sky. So the arms don't have to stay long. You can come back to goalposts or also hands to hips. You're gonna move into a little bit of a twist in the lunge. If you're feeling narrow, once again, you've got all of this space on your mat. Heel toe it out so that you feel like you're stable. The twist, more important that you're feeling the sensation of moving the torso, using the rotator muscles here to come into the twist, and less about letting the arms take you further. So I want to sort of clarify that. So if you're able to take your arms out wide like a capital T, go for it. Twist to the, actually we're going to twist to the left-hand side here, as though we're going to look over the left leg. And let your front arm reach forward and your back arm reach back. And then come on back to center. Take your arms out of the equation entirely and go to the twist the same way again, just using your torso. And notice if there feels like there's any difference. In my body, I'm noticing I can't go nearly as far. And what that's telling me is that at a certain point, my torso stops moving and my shoulders and my arms are kind of coming in to give me a little bit more torque to get me tighter into the twist. So today, come back through center. I want to just focus on what the torso is able to do. So regardless as to where you take your arms, take a breath in and revolve with your torso. Right? The point that you feel like the torso's not going anywhere else, pause and breathe. Come back to center and go for it again. Over the same leg, just to where the torso feels like it is stopping. And come back to center. Reach your arms to the sky. Extend long forward and down. Come on back to your block. Right hand to the block. Straighten out your front leg. At any point in time, if you need to shift the placement of your feet to come back into two straight legs, please feel free to. Left hand dangles down to the floor like we did before. Breathe in and sweep your arms upwards towards the sky. And same deal. See if you can observe in your body. It might be a real subtle sensation. Where does my torso stop revolving? And then my arm continues on. And this is just to bring awareness to your body and notice what parts are moving you and where they're moving you to. This way you're able to make wise choices about what's going to feel good, what's going to help you strengthen, where your edges are. Come on back down to the ground. Soften your left knee and step your right foot up to join it at the front of your mat. Soft knees, drape yourself over your legs in a forward fold. You can even rest your hands on your block and just hang out here for a breath or two. And lift yourself up halfway. And come all the way up to stand tall. Sweep your arms up and overhead. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. Arms by your side. Go ahead and grab your block. And turn this way. All right. So, hand on your left hip. Block in your right hand. Sweep your arm upwards towards the sky. Shift your weight so that your left knee picks up. Start to hinge and step it back. Both legs long. Hinge and reach, hinge and reach, hinge and reach until you feel like you're just about parallel to the floor. And then send your right arm forward to grab your block. Switch hands and bring your right hand, or left hand rather, down to the ground. Lengthen your spine. Take a second to adjust your stance if you feel like you're too narrow. Make yourself a little bit wider. And let your right hand now dangle between the block and your right foot. Breathe in, and like someone's gently tugging your arm out of the socket, extend your fingers towards the floor. And then plug it in, and overemphasize the plug in just for purposes of playing around and exploring here. Breathe in and take it towards the floor. And plug it in, exhale. Inhale. And exhale. One more time, reach towards the floor. And plug it in. And then find your happy middle ground there, where it feels like your arm is nice and anchored in the socket. Try to maintain that as you explore twisting with your breath. Fan your arm out towards the right. You can journey along the side wall up towards your ceiling any amount. Stop when your body is telling you to stop. And come on back down as you exhale. And flow in and out of that again. Play around, get creative. And let your arm be a little more fluid if you'd like. Or you can keep it nice and long, the bones extending, the elbow joint lengthened. One more time, up and down. Next time that you're down at the ground, let your right knee bend and come up onto the ball of your back foot. And again, I just sort of hopped it back a little bit so that I felt like I was in the crescent lunge shape that made sense for me. Walk your hands up onto your front thigh, lift your torso up, and rise all the way up. Sweep your arms overhead. Let your arms then come out of it for a moment. Let's play around with the twist just to feel what it's like. Capital T, and pivot over your right leg, and let your arms revolve with you and send you into the twist. Extend and reach through both of your arms. And come back to center. Take your arms out of it. Try to go back over the same leg into the same twist and see if you go as far, if something feels different about it without your arms. Whatever little information there is to learn about how your body twists to the right. Grab onto that information, come back to center. Let's bring hands to the hips. Inhale with a long spine. Exhale, twist over the right leg. And come on back to center. And again, twist over the right leg. And find your breath there. Come back to center one more time. Take your arms up to the ceiling. Exhale, hinge and reach forward. Bow down, find your block. I'm going to step my back foot in a little bit further so I can lengthen both my legs out. Then return to two straight legs to set up for that revolved triangle that we've been playing around with. Right arm dangles towards the floor. Find your middle ground. Where am I plugged in? Inhale. Start to open your right arm up and out towards the right. Where along this journey does my torso stop going, and then suddenly my arm is doing the rest of the work to open me up? Again, it's not a right or a wrong, it's simply an information gathering session here. What do you notice about your body and the way that you twist here? Take another breath. Let your arm come on back down to the ground. Soften your front knee and step your left foot in and up to join your right foot. Bow, drape right over your front legs. Inhale, come up halfway, hands onto your thighs. And bow it forward, exhale. Come all the way up to stand tall, sweep your arms up and overhead. And bring your hands together in front of your heart. Take that moment to check in. Arms rested by your sides, a soft gaze or eyes closed. How am I feeling? What are you noticing? Heart rate increased, a little bit of heat, a little bit of space. What's going on? I'm going to add one more layer here. Consider this like the challenge of the day. So you can take this or leave this, you can play with any increment of this, and it's based off of all of the things that we've already been building in the body. So you can stop at whatever point you've decided this is enough, and I'm going to be right here in the shape. That's perfect. It's all good hard work on the same parts of your body. So from the top end of your mat, take your block, bring it into your left hand, sweep your arm up to the sky, pick your right knee up. Inhale, exhale. Reach your block forward as you step your back foot back. Continue to reach your block forward like you're handing it off to somebody. Come to about parallel with the floor and then switch hands. So right hand comes forward and grabs it and take it down to the ground. So setting up in the same exact way in the revolved triangle that we just played with a moment ago. Inhale, let your left arm fan out to the left. To the side wall, perhaps journey onward towards the ceiling. Exhale, flip back down to the floor. So here's the add-on. Let your left knee bend, come onto the ball of your back foot. Instead of rising up to crescent lunge, take your block with you, step it forward, and begin to play around with shifting your weight into your left leg. Letting your right leg float up any amount away from the floor. You can keep a bend in your left knee. You can straighten it out. Bring your left hand to your ribs. Remember, we did this earlier. Lift your ribs away from the floor to keep your spine long. Left arm now dangles, and any amount that you would like to open it up into the twist, you can play around with that. This is a balance pose in addition to being really strong hip work and core work here. So give yourself permission to be wobbly. Give yourself the freedom to let this be hard. Give yourself permission to put your toes back down on the ground. With one more breath, as much grace and ease as you can muster, unwind, set your toes to the ground, and gently bend your front knee, step it forward, and drape over your legs. Take an exhale. Notice how this lands in your body. Inhale, come up halfway. Fold forward, exhale. And come all the way up to stand tall, arms overhead. Hands to your heart. Arms by your sides. Grab your block with your right hand. Left hand is on your hip. Take your block up to the ceiling. Stand tall in your mountain. Shift your weight into your right foot. Pick your left knee up. Hinge your block forward as you step back. Straighten out your front leg. Heel toe your feet. And send your block towards me. Switch hands. Left arm comes forward to grab it. Right hand comes to your hip. And continue down to the ground. Make any final adjustments you need to get your feet where they make sense and your legs to extend out long. Right arm is at the floor. Sweep it up and out to the right. Come into revolved triangle here. Take a breath. Pavrita Trikonasana. Back down to the floor with your arm. Keep your gaze looking forward on the front end of your mat. Start to bend your right knee. Step your block forward as makes sense. Come onto the toes of the back leg and let it start to come up any amount. Build this just as you build everything else. So there's no rush to twist and get into this thing and wobble and keel over. Let your work be on feeling your hips firm in. Bend your knee or straighten your leg. Extend it and reach like you're standing on a wall with your back leg. Ribs draw in so that the low back feels supported. Then, if you feel like adding the arm, you add the arm. Right arm floats anywhere up and out to the side. Keep your gaze forward, your spine long, and take a breath. Observe any and all of the sensations that are happening. Let them wash over you. And gently float your arm back down. Bend your standing leg, toes back to the earth, and step your back foot in to meet your front. Drape yourself forward over your legs. Final time, lift yourself up halfway, hands onto your thighs, fold forward. Set your hands on the ground, and you can do that by bending your knees as much as you need to, and come onto your seat. Let your legs lengthen out in front of you, knees bend, and lower yourself onto your back. Step your feet in a little bit closer to your bottom so they feel like they're right underneath your knees. Arms can rest right by your sides. As you inhale, rock your pelvis towards the front of the room, so towards your screen if it's in front of you, so that you're creating space in your low back. There's an arch in your low back. Bottom is still on the ground, just arching. And then tilt your pelvis like you're trying to scoop some dirt up with it, scooping a bowl full of water up, and flatten your back into the floor. And then one more time, arch your back, take a breath in. Exhale, lengthen your lower back towards the floor. And then find middle ground here, where the natural curve of your lumbar spine is present. Press your feet down into the ground. Inhale, lift your hips up. Let your arms float up and overhead towards the floor behind you. As you exhale, gently lower yourself down. Inhale, root down into your feet, lift your hips up, arms journey along overhead. Exhale, everything slowly back down, including your arms. One more time, inhale, roll up. Exhale, roll it down. And let your feet come off of the floor. Hug your knees in towards your belly and give yourself a squeeze. One hand on either knee. Start to stir your knees around and make a couple of little circles. Change your direction. And let your bent knees stay bent, feet come back to the ground. Lift your hips up off of the earth just an inch or two. Swing them over to the left-hand side 3 or 4 inches and set them back down. Draw your knees into your belly. Take your arms out like a capital T and let your knees drop all the way over to the right. And once you're rolled to the right, your capital T becomes a closed book. So left arm journeys all the way over, palm into palm. So both hands are in front of you. And it feels like you've got your shoulders stacked, your knees and your hips all stacked. Inhale like you're opening your book. Left arm up and overhead towards the ceiling. Let your gaze perhaps follow towards the floor behind you till you're looking over your left shoulder. And close your book one more time. Up and over, palm to palm. Inhale, sweep it all the way up, over towards the floor behind you. If your neck lets you look over your back shoulder, go for it. And settle into breath here. If your body is like mine at all, you'll notice that both knees and shoulder won't touch down at the same time. You could certainly prop a block up either under your knees or under your shoulders to make that work. I kind of like the way that it feels to have my arm dangling and not quite touching down. So as long as it feels like a reasonable amount of sensation and nothing that's tugging or causing pain, you should probably feel good there. With each inhale, let your spine lengthen. And with each exhale, observe how your muscles respond to settling into the shape. If there's anything that starts to ungrip, and help you settle in, to loosen up, to make some space. As you inhale, lengthen the arms out long away from one another. And as you exhale, close your book one last time, palm to palm. Breathe in and roll yourself as one unit all the way over onto your back. Allow yourself to be crooked for a moment. That's sometimes the hardest thing for people, is just to lay crooked on their mat. So notice if you're already shifting yourself to straighten out. Go ahead if you manage to hang on to the crooked and be present with it for a second. And now draw your hips back in and underneath you, knees bent. Arms are out at a capital T just to support the movements. Lift your hips up and swing them all the way over to the right, 3 or 4 inches. Let your knees pick up in towards your belly and drop over to the left. Once you're dropped over to the left, close your book. So bring your right arm with you all the way to the left-hand side. Inhale, open your book. Keep your arms extending out long. The full amount of your inhale time to reach your twist. Exhale, close your book. Inhale, open up, arrive at the destination behind you as you get to the top of your breath. Close your book, same thing. Exhale, palm to palm at the end of your exhale. Inhale, open it up, and this time prepare to settle in and land in the twist with arms outstretched. And your gaze either at the ceiling or over your right shoulder. Every breath in, lengthen from tail to crown. And with every breath out, allow yourself to soften towards the floor, to ungrip any muscle that is ready to release its hold. You inhale, reach from fingertip to fingertip. Exhale, close your book one last time, palm to palm. Inhale, roll yourself as one unit onto your back. Let yourself be crooked. How often do you give yourself a break to not try to fix and perfect all of the little things that you perceive to be slightly askew? Total and absolute freedom to lay here in a completely wonky shape for a moment. You embrace those opportunities, or are you quick to jump on editing them? And if you stay crooked, go ahead and straighten yourself out, lengthen out long onto your mat. Your heels to each of the 2 corners far away from you. Let your arms either fan out by your sides, or you could even let them fall up and overhead, palms facing the ceiling. Settle in for rest here. I'm going to come up into a seat. You can continue to lie down if you would want to sit up and grab a blanket, or if you're feeling a little chilly and you want to put on another layer, whatever it is that's going to allow you to feel like you can let go and be resting for a few minutes here while I guide you. Take the opportunity to do that now. And once you're settled, notice whatever parts of your body you're touching to the floor. Notice the natural shapes and curves that your body has, where you lift up and away, and how even in this seemingly innocuous shape of just lying on the floor in some way, there's this dance that happens. This balance between yielding to gravity and buoying up and launching upward, having lightness and levity. There's the breath that fills you, the breath that empties out of you. By the grace of the practice, there's opportunity to sit back into the armchair of the witness. It's time to simply be present with whatever happens here, whatever is. Any of the thoughts that filter through, any of the feelings, any of the sensations, any of the distractions that might be going on in the space where you are. You don't have to do anything except notice them. Again, what a gift. Many of us are constantly in a state of doing. To be afforded this time, this carved out time, to shift from human doing to human being. Shivaya Gurave Sachidananda Muraye Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase. From this place of openness and receptivity, allow yourself to begin to tune in to the sound of your breathing and to small sensations in your body. Start to wiggle your fingers and your toes, your arms and your legs. Stretch, reach, and move in any way that serves to reawaken you. Draw your knees into your belly if you're lying down. Roll over onto one side. And press your hands into the earth. Walk yourself back into an upright seat. Let your head stack up last on top of your spine. Allow a kindness and a softness to be on your face with either eyes closed or a gentle gaze. Your left and right palms out at your sides with elbows bent, palms facing upwards towards the sky. The slow and steady breath in and out. Let these palms begin their journey to find one another in front of your heart. No rush to get there. All of this, the practice of Anjali Mudra. Bring your hands together in a thoughtful and focused and attentive way. Once they are together, bow your gaze down to your heart center and turn the corners of your mouth up into a smile. I open myself to the power of grace that lives in us all as goodness, that never is absent and radiates peace and lights the way to transformation. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me this morning, yogis. I'm so grateful that we have this platform and this technology to be able to stay connected when we're not able to be together in the same studio space. Have a wonderful Sunday. Thank you so much. I miss you. Namaste.
Want to say hi to a few people?
Yeah, who's here this morning?
Susan DeSantis.
Hi, Susan.
Charlotte.
Hi, Charlotte.
Jeannie Willette.
Hi, Jeannie.
Moanne.
Hi, Moanne.
Mary Jane says
Hi,
good
Mary
morning. Mary Jane says thanks for this yoga.
You're
Nicole
welcome.
Thomas will be practicing later today. Can't wait. Tara Devaney.
Oh, hi, Tara.
Mel is watching. Love you.
Hi, Melly.
Emma.
Hi, Em.
Claire says thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Megan, thank you, Tara. This was wonderful. Love you.
I love you. Megan, I know who you are this morning.
Candy says, thank you, miss you. Rachel, morning friends, thank you, Tara. Caitlin, thank you. Sarah, Laidler, very grateful. Denise, thank you, Tara. Jamie, Bata, thank you. Alice,
Hi, Alex.
Jai Yogis, thank you, Tara. Mary Jane, thank you, nice to meet you. And Kerry, thanks, Tara. And Christina, thank you, Tara. And for whoever is filming, can't tell who it is, Sarah, best quote, doesn't have to be in the same zip code. Kayla says thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, guys. I miss all of you. And guess what? It's Sunday morning and we didn't plank. All right. See you soon.
Yeah.
Bye.